I'm right here outside of Helmsdale. We've come here to do salmon fishing for the very first time. It's my very first time in fact. Wow, hold on.
Okay, let's start again. I highly recommend that you don't ever let your box get into that condition. It's very unprofessional.
My name is Ezio Taranto. It's an unusual name, so my friends just call me Fish. My journey into fly fishing began in southern Africa, many thousands of miles from where I find myself today, and many years ago. Every cast that I have made has laid the line out before me on this journey, and now I would like you to join me as we follow the line together. Well, this is it. This is the big one, and for me very exciting because I'm about to fish for Atlantic salmon for the very first time. It's a bit of a windy day. We're off to a really cold start. But I suppose that's the Highlands and that's fishing. One of the things that I really enjoy about fly fishing is that it puts me here in the elements, and you have to love it, man. I'm in this quaint little village of Helmsdale, and we're here for the opening of the river. And it's not just about fishing for Atlantic salmon as a species. For me, the most exciting part is that I'm taking part in this wonderful pastime right here in the heart of Scotland.
Looking around while listening to the soul-stirring bagpipes, it was obvious I wasn't the only fanatical fly fisherman visiting Helmsdale in the dead of winter. The reason being, the River Helmsdale is one of the first Scottish rivers to open and officially marks the start of the salmon season. I caught up with Sir Michael Wigan, manager of the Helmsdale District Salmon Board, to find out a little more about the event and why it draws a crowd.
There's not going to be anything comparable to this in January in a Highland town in the north of Scotland. So all those visitors have come, and they've come to have fun. They want to talk and spend the evening and drink and play some tunes. It's a jamboree of a social occasion for anglers and for anyone else. The silver tourist is as important as the biped tourist, and the two of them meet up on the River Helmsdale, which is a great Atlantic salmon river with a good stock of fish in it.
The modern-day Helmsdale River opening has been running since the beginning of the millennium, but people have been coming here in pursuit of good fishing for a lot longer than that.
This is the traditional first cast on the River Helmsdale, and Alistair is doing the honours.
What a privilege to be part of this tradition. But with the formalities over and the river open, it was time to fish. The weather was pretty dismal for the opening day, a real test for any true fisherman. Sleet was coming down in buckets on the back end of a cold and driving wind. I waited for a gap in the icy rain, and at the first opportunity, I hopped out of the car to prepare my kit.
I've basically followed my line, and it's brought me all the way here to Helmsdale, and hopefully to Atlantic salmon. This is insanity. Only fishermen would be out in this weather. Oh! Only crazy fishermen would be out in this weather.
Crazy indeed. And despite my best efforts to look like an accomplished salmon fisherman, in the end, I was glad there wasn't an audience to see my performance. So, after being bullied by the wind for around 20 minutes and getting tangled up in my line, I bowed out. and for sanity's sake, I decided to come back the next day. Day 2 in Helmsdale started out bright and beautiful. The snow had settled overnight, the wind and sleet were gone, and I was eager to take advantage of the better weather conditions. Salmon fishing is quite different to the fly fishing I'm used to, and I quickly realized that the 15-foot 10 weight I was using felt more like I was swinging a flagpole than casting a fly rod. I needed professional help, and I knew just the guy to go to. That guy is Ronnie Sutherland, owner of the Helmsdale Tackle Company. I asked him to tell me a little about the kit and the tactics he uses, and to wager some odds on whether we'd catch anything.
People come from all around the world to fish here, and they've got a really good chance of catching a January salmon, which is a real priceless early season fish.
Absolutely, and traditionally over the years, how many of those have come out?
Well, quite often catch one or two on opening day. Obviously the river's had a good rest over the winter, and these north and east coast rivers have an early season run. Excuse me. So there's every chance of there being absolutely pristine fresh fish in the river system in January.
Right.
So if they're there, we've got a chance of catching them, and luckily there's always a few.
So tell me a little bit about the flies and a little bit about the conditions and how they can alter and affect the fishing.
Well, the main thing is the temperature. Obviously we're in the winter here. The water temperature is very cold, air temperature is very cold. If we have no ice in the river, we can still catch these fish by presenting our fly very deep.
Yeah.
This is a very popular pattern. It's called a cascade. All we've done here is tie it tube style and put a heavy skull head, cone head on the front.
Right.
And that makes the fly just nose down into the water, gives us some extra weight.
Tell me a little more about the tactics and the kit.
Yeah, the kit, obviously being a trout fisherman, you'll know all about using 8, 9, 10 foot rods and much smaller reels, 6 weight, 7 weight lines. For the salmon fishing, we just scale all that up to, we're using 10 weights, and we're using much bigger, larger capacity salmon reels to take 10 weight lines.
Right.
And the rods we're using to handle casting these large flies, we need to use 15 foot rods, 14 foot rods, double-handed salmon rods. And we just need that size of equipment to propel these flies comfortably.
I took Ronnie at his word, and I followed him upstream to one of his favourite pools. I still needed to sort out my kit, but I was encouraged by his enthusiasm to get to the water's edge, a good sign of a good guide.
Wow, look at this magnificent snowfall that we've had. It's absolutely amazing. Weather chops and changes around here all the time. Again, what's not to like about this, but a little bit cold. I'm definitely going to pad up a little bit, so bear with me. I don't think my fingers have ever felt this cold. I feel a little bit like I'm walking around on a Christmas cake among the icing and the decorations. It's a very nice setting, Ronnie.
Looking nice here, yeah. It takes just a couple of false casts and then one big one to get out there.
Yeah, nice, clean across.
And then we'll put a mend in our line just to check up the speed, slow it down a little bit more. And now that line is sinking down, and it's getting down to just the right depth.
And the fish will basically take it and run with it, won't you?
They don't take too heavily, too fast at this time of the season. The fly is moving very slowly. It usually just stops, and it's either the bottom or a fish. And
so it can be a subtle little nudge, can it?
It can be, yes, because everything's so cold here.
Is that the general rule? Once you've been through the pool once, that's about it. You might as well move on.
At this early in the season, yes, spring fish tend to be good taking fish. So if you come across one, generally you get them. You'll hook up with them first time down, or possibly second time down. If you feel that you've fished the pool at the right depth and covered the water well,
Yes.
and you've had no response, yeah, it's time to move on, to be honest.
Move on.
That was a good take there.
Was it?
But we missed it.
And that's how you would strike, yeah, with a rod?
Well, I thought that fish was actually on, but
Ah.
so I lifted into him, but he obviously just didn't quite have it. The bottom third of this pool now, the current is just the right pace. It's just the right sort of depth, and we expect any fish to be lying here in this pool. They will be lying at the bottom end of the pool here.
Right. And we're getting a little bit of snow as well, which is lovely.
Yeah, but the fish won't be bothered.
No, they don't mind getting wet or getting cold.
A blizzard means nothing to these guys. They're quite comfortable on the bottom of the riverbank, on the bottom of the river there.
I thought I'd fished in serious conditions before. I've never stood in a blizzard.
I think this is
And watched
technically a
live
whiteout,
fishing.
for sure.
It's technically a what, Ronnie?
A whiteout.
A whiteout.
Whiteout, yeah.
Well, it's my first whiteout.
But
Lovely.
I'm still confident.
Under these conditions, it becomes very obvious that your equipment, not only your fishing equipment, but your clothing, your glasses, your hats, become really, really important to stay warm and to stay kind of in the game, so to speak. Okay, there we go, inside or not.
So we're in here now.
Are we in?
Yeah.
Woo, first salmon. Let's see what it is.
Do you want to play it?
Do I want to play it? Of course I want to play it. What a gracious host. Ronnie does all the work and I get the glory.
I can bully him a little bit, can I?
Yeah, you show him who's the boss.
Alrighty.
If it's a fresh fish, he'll be showing you who the boss is in a minute, probably, once he wakes up. But yeah, we can never tell. Never tell in this game. We don't see the fish very quickly, so this is the interesting part now.
A lot of head shaking and he's staying quite low. Wow, what a thrill, man. What an absolute thrill. So what's the general thing? Will he take a run as soon as he sees me, Ronnie?
He may
What
do,
you
yes.
think?
He'll probably get a little more active as he gets closer to the riverbank there.
Because he's staying quite low.
Yeah.
What am I pulling through the eyes? Is that
Yeah,
ice
just
in my
pulling
eyes?
through the braided tips there, yeah, that's okay.
Alright.
Yeah, they keep their heads down.
Yeah, he's staying very low. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's a Celt. I can almost see how thin he is.
Yeah, he's a Celt, he's quite thin.
Yeah, he's nice and he's very thin. Oh, that's nice. There we go. Yeah, beautiful thing. That is amazing. Now he likes to fight. Then he's not going to give in. There we
Right,
go.
he's almost there now.
Yeah, I want to just get his head out of the water. He's fighting.
Shorten the line up a little bit and we'll get the net underneath him now.
Wow, he's a big fish. Lovely fish. He's got a fan of a tail, doesn't he?
Yep, so what we'll do here is he's quite well hooked.
I've got these. There we are. I've just popped them off and just used them as a...
That's on one of our new fire tiger salmon fly.
There we go.
We've taken it actually from the Rapala lure and turned the Rapala lure into a salmon fly and incorporated all those colours. So we're just trialling this fly at the moment. Yeah, it's been catching a lot of fish, fresh fish, and this is its first go in the spring. But there he goes, no damage done.
Nice one. Well done. So that was a wonderful Celt fish on its way back out to the sea. You could see by how thin it was, but it had an enormous tail, so it must have been a really big fish. It was like a fan of a tail. Beautiful creature.
With the adrenaline flowing, we moved further upstream. The salmon we had just caught felt a bit like a team effort, and I was eager to experience the thrill of my own catch.
Interesting, such a different technique. Okay, that's better. That's much better.
The salmon are in trouble now.
Yeah, I like your thinking.
Under my tutor's watchful eye, I started to get a real feel for the weight and the size of the rod, and before long, I could even feel it loading. My timing improved and I was getting pretty good distance, even if it meant I was using muscles I didn't even know existed.
So we just have to hope.
We live on hope.
That's right.
We're
Absolutely.
fishermen.
After a while, it all became quite sublime. Here I was in the Scottish Highlands, fishing for the king of fish in the falling snow, in one of the most picturesque settings I've ever encountered. And in that moment, nothing else really mattered. It was me and the elements, and we began to merge.
But it's really good to be indoors again, in the warmth with a nice hot cup of coffee. The weather outside has been a complete mixed bag. We've had everything from rain, snow, a lot of wind, and of course even some sunshine. It seems to me like everything is passing through Helmsdale continuously. All of the elements, the people, the fish and the river. And I've had an absolutely wonderful time in this beautiful part of the world. But now it's time for me to move on, because my journey continues.